Hi, Ed DiCaria from StorySeer here. In this video, we're going to walk through the process of going from a requested author visit all the way through to a signed agreement between an author and an organizer. So when an organizer requests a visit, it automatically kicks off an email to the author that gives them the name of the school and says that they've required a visit with you. And if you click here to review details, it opens up this whole visit portal for you. And in the visit portal, you see a couple quick things. You see the process, where we are in the process, so step 1 through step 5, which we'll cover as we go through this video. You see a discussion area on the right where StorySeer will have little automated messages that kind of remind you where we are in the process and kind of tell you when ownership of the agreement is changing hands, and you can just chat back and forth between the author and the organizer. And then right here we have this sort of operating area. So in step 1, this is just the inquiry, quick summary of everything that the organizer put into their initial visit request, including a note that they put at the end if they wanted to ask about a customization of a program or anything else they wanted to say. They can include that right here. When you've evaluated the inquiry and you decided you want to move forward, all you need to do is click here to proceed to step 2. If for whatever reason you are not interested in that visit, you can always hit decline visit. You don't need to do anything else after that. StorySeer will take care of managing that organizer's request. We can try to hook them up with another author that might suit their needs, things like that. So assuming you do want to proceed with trying to set up that visit, you just click proceed to step 2. And now you can see this middle area changed from that inquiry summary to a draft agreement. So from this point forward, this is what we're working towards, is a final agreement between you, the author, and them, the organizer. So at this stage, this is really sort of the early phases of a draft agreement. We have a template that we're using that gives you the summary of the agreement. Here's the date, trying to get a visit from between this speaker and this organizer in this location on this date. And we'll just walk through it as we go. So in this case, does the requested date work for you? If it does, great, you don't need to do anything. If it doesn't, here's all the dates that the organizer put into the request initially. So if one of the backup dates works better, you can just change the backup date. The 4th works better for me. Thanks. Hit send, and they'll see that message, on their side of the portal. At this point, by the way, they are in the portal. So back in the inquiry stage, the organizer does not yet have access to this page. But once you click proceed to step 2, now they will be invited into the discussion as well. The fees section, this is just a quick summary of the total fees that the organizer will be asked to pay, inclusive of any travel fees. So we don't deal with travel reimbursement after the fact. Everything we want to have as transparent as possible and is listed up front. So here's the fee for the package they chose in the initial inquiry. Here's StorySeer's initial travel estimate. If you need to change that, we give you an opportunity to change that. So if you actually check, flight prices 2 weeks later, flights have gone up, or you checked hotel or something like that, and it's really expensive, you can always change that. That is perfectly okay. Our initial estimate to them is pretty accurate, but it could be a little bit off, and it's within your right to change it. That's totally fine. If you're offering a discount for any reason, you can just go ahead and enter the discount amount here. We will itemize that so that the organizer knows that they're getting a special rate off of your normal sort of visit rate. So if I'm going to say repeat customer discount, that's fine. The programs area will largely be completed by the organizer themselves, but there's a couple things that you as the author should do. One, just make sure that the limit on number of programs is accurate. So if it's exactly 1 or 2, whatever, just make sure that's accurate because they'll be allowed to pick up to that many and put it into the contract. And then lastly, if there is an autograph session, or if you plan on having lunch with staff or students, and that's included as part of the package, not for an additional fee and it doesn't count as one of their programs that they're picking, you can change these to yes. It can be either or, and it just changes the text right here automatically. This section will be completed by the organizer. You'll see that in the next step. And then lastly, we also have any requirements that you have of the organization. We break this into logistical requirements and to promotional requirements. So what they should do to make sure things are set up properly, and what they should do to make sure that sort of the students and the staff and everyone is prepared and excited for your visit when you get there. These are pretty boilerplate texts. However, you can edit them as you wish, and you can just completely replace them with your own copy that you might use in your historical contracts. That's also perfectly fine. So when you're ready, you can feel free to give it another once over. You'll have another chance to edit it as you see fit. So this is not final at this point by any means. All you have to do is toggle between edit and view, and you'll be able to just see what it looks like when it's all put together. And when you're ready, you can click proceed to step 3. You'll always have a little sneak preview of what's to come in that next step right above the button. So in this case, the organizer is going to review the draft proposal, confirm the dates, and provide the program details. So in this case, you clicked proceed to step 3, and now you've given control, and we remind them here, you've given them control of the agreement. You are now in view only mode, and I'm going to toggle over to a new window, and you'll see what this looks like from the organized perspective. So now we're in step 3, and the organizer has control. And I'm on it. They'll send that message to you. They can now edit. So of course they can't edit the parts that you could edit, right? They can only edit the parts they can edit. So the main thing that they're responsible for is picking their programs. We want to make sure that's documented up front in terms of what they expect of you, or what they want from you in terms of programs, and then confirming the grade level that is going to be attending that particular session, as well as the size of the audience, so that you can prepare for that specific thing. So let's say from this list of your programs, which is already in your profile, those are the only ones that they'll see and have access to, are the ones that you've marked live in your profile. Let's say they want to understand, the organizer wants to make sure their kids understand all about writing as a career, and what all goes into it. And let's say we've got K through 2nd grade, and there's 120 of them. We're going to add that. We want the same thing for 3rd through 5th grade, and there's 140 of them. And for our older kids, we want to actually give them a chance to write a book with you, and that's specifically for our 6th grade class. And there are let's say there's 30 of them. Go ahead and hit add. At this point, it tells them their program limit has been reached, so they can't pick any more. If they tried to, it wouldn't work. So 6th, other 30 kids. They can't add any more until they delete another one. So that's all set. Oops, excuse me. And then right below that, they have the visit requirements for the speaker. So here in the initial visit request, they said they needed a vendor application. If it turns out they don't, the district doesn't care or whatever, they can just uncheck that. But whatever they need, they can just check those buttons, and it'll list those as part of the agreement as things that they need. And they can, of course, type in something here as well. Proof of immunization. That's fine too. It just appears in that list. So whatever their requirements of you are will be listed here, and they do not have the ability to sort of edit your requirements of them. Okay. So whenever they're ready, they go ahead and click proceed to step 4, and again they can see what will happen in step 4. So they go ahead and click proceed to step 4. Now they see waiting for author, and they are now back in view only mode. And you might say done, and we'll toggle back over to you. And now this is back from your perspective. So now you're in step 4, and now you can give the agreement a once over. You can edit it if you need to change anything. The third works better again. You might want to tell them that in the notes. Whatever you want to change, that's fine. Go back to view. Whenever you're ready, you can click proceed to signing, which really just scrolls to the bottom of the page. And now you can see that the agreement section has appeared. So once we're in step 4, you can now finalize it and say we agree. So this is a digital signature, so you can sign your name here, enter today's date, 2019, and when you're ready, go ahead and click sign. If you accidentally made a mistake and you want to revise the agreement, just click revise. It'll unsign the agreement for you, and you'll have the chance to just make edits again. But let's say you're comfortable with it as is. You're signed. Again, now you're waiting for the organizer to countersign. I'm going to toggle back over to their side of things, and now we can review the agreement from their perspective. And when they're ready, they can also go ahead and sign the agreement. Here's my signature. I'm a fake principal of this school. 6/20/2019. I'm ready to go. If the organizer does want to revise it, they can also click the same button, but in their case, they'll go back all the way to step 3, which is where they can make changes. Let's say they're good to go. They hit the button to sign the agreement, and the agreement has been created, signed, and countersigned as easily as we can possibly make it. At this point, we'll also trigger the payment flow. So we'll send them an invoice, which we'll do for every agreement, as well as kind of get them into the payment flow so that we can have them pay for the visit without having to hand you a physical check at the time of the visit. They'll pay part of it up front and the rest of it on the day of the visit. And then StorySeer will make payments directly to you so that you never have to handle the money in between and create those awkward moments of where you're asking for a check from someone on site. We're trying to avoid that. Last but not least, you can click a downloadable printable version of that agreement. So I just click the download printable agreement, and there you have it. Here's our visit agreement between the speaker and the school, and here's all the things that we just agreed to, all written out nice and neat, signatures at the bottom, ready to print, ready for your records. So hope that is useful, both as a video, and I hope it's really useful to you in terms of making it as easy as possible to get to these visit agreements between authors and schools so that you can do as many of them as you can handle. Thanks.